I've been training for the past 11 years to jump higher. And in that time, I've taken my vertical from 24 inches to 50.5 inches. Along the way, I've also coached hundreds of athletes to 40+ inch verticals, and I'm actually training the most amount of 46+ inch vertical athletes out of any coach in the world. Now, making an elite athlete even better is one of the hardest things to do in sports, but at THP, we have it down to a science. And a big reason we're able to do that is because we implement the principle of variety. When you sign up for the average jump program out there, it's usually a 3-month training cycle. And then those same athletes just repeat that same 3-month training cycle over and over and over and over again. So you do the program from beginning to end, and then repeat it from beginning to end, and you continue that. And you're gonna see a lot of gains in the beginning, but then you're gonna plateau. What implementing variety into your training does is it allows you to keep progressing. The whole point of training is to subject your body to a stimulus it's not used to so that it can adapt to it. And you wanna create specific adaptations that are gonna cause you to jump higher. So in today's video, I'm gonna show you guys how we implement variety with some common lifts that we do. First, let's start with the Olympic lifts, specifically the power clean. The power clean is in my top 3 favorite exercises for jumping higher. There's been a direct 1-to-1 correlation between my power clean and how high I can jump. When I power clean 300, I was able to jump higher than when I power clean 275. And when I power clean 315, I was able to jump higher than when I power clean 300. But I don't just power clean year round. I do variations of the power clean. As a general rule, your training needs to go from general to specific. Now, every exercise that you do needs to fall on this continuum. Think about when you want to jump your highest. You can't jump your highest year round. From that period of time where you want to jump your highest, you want to look back about 3 months in our case, okay? And then let's take a 1-foot jumper. A 1-foot jumper jumps at a quarter squat angle, all right? They don't lower very much. It's very quick on and off the ground. So when we're programming an Olympic lift like the power clean, the most specific variation is going to go here, and the most general variation is going to go here early on. So month 1, the variation that we might do is clean pull. A clean pull is good because it allows you to load up the bar heavier than what you would do in a regular power clean, but not so heavy that it turns it into a deadlift. That way, it's still a power exercise, very high levels of rate of force development, and it's a little bit more of a max strength stimulus. What getting stronger at a clean pull is gonna do is you're gonna be able to progress to month 2 and get more out of a power clean. Then in month 3, we might do a hang clean. So most of our power work is going to come in the form of clean pull in month 1, it's going to come in the form of power clean in month 2, and it's going to come in the form of a hang clean in month 3. Now, usually at THP, we work in terms of 6-month macro cycles. This is what like part 1 of a macro cycle might look like. So that's a 3-month mini macro cycle. But what we're going to do is we're going to restart this process all over again, but the variations are going to look a little bit different. So now we're heading into part 2 of the macro cycle, right? You're really fit at this moment. Your power clean probably went up a little bit, especially here. You detrained slightly in terms of your max strength and how good your power clean is during this cycle because you were doing hang cleans. So now we're going to start back up and we're going to rebuild the engine to be even stronger. But now we might do panda pulls, right? Panda pulls are even more specific than clean pulls, but they're still even more of a max strength stimulus compared to a power clean. A panda pull is when you do the first and second pull, and then you drop down without catching. So you drop down into the half squat without getting your elbows up under the bar and catching the bar. Then we might do a cycle that's focused on isometrics, all right, in month 2. So we might do power clean with a pause. During a stretch shortening cycle, there is a brief isometric condition between the eccentric loading phase and then the concentric phase where there's an energy release. There's a brief isometric condition in there. So doing isometrics in your training can theoretically improve that isometric condition, and it allows the stretch shortening cycle to be more efficient. If you don't know what the stretch shortening cycle is, it's a fast eccentric muscle contraction followed by a fast concentric muscle contraction. So a fast stretching phase and then a fast shortening phase, right? By stretching, I mean the entire musculotendinous unit, so your muscle connected to your tendon, that whole unit lengthens under load, and then it shortens as you jump up under load. So that's why we do that. Then we might do a hang clean with an eccentric overload. So hang clean with eccentric overload. Sorry for my bad handwriting. How would you do a hang clean with an eccentric overload? We've done this before. A hang clean is where you go to the top of your knee and then you clean it, right, instead of starting from the floor. What we might do is we might jump, all right, with the bar in our hands and then land into a hang clean. And that's gonna cause a huge eccentric overload, which again is training that eccentric portion of the stretch shortening cycle. So that's what a progression would look like in terms of an Olympic lift like the power clean. Now, every exercise that we choose for a mesocycle is gonna have its own progression. So we might start with a squat at month 1 with high volume. Then we might do squats, high intensities and low volume here. And then on the last cycle, right, so we might do more of a strength speed stimulus, have you put 60% of your max on the bar and then squat it as quickly as possible. And then in the second part of the macro cycle, we might do squats at high intensity to begin with. Then we do isometric squats. So get a bar, get under the pin, and isometrically contract as hard as you can. And then we might do eccentrically overloaded squats on month 3, okay? And again, every exercise is gonna have its own progression. Now at THP, we use something called conjugate in terms of our periodization. What that means is we focus on a bunch of qualities. Specifically, we focus on all qualities at once. And by qualities, I mean like strength, right? Or we might focus on plyos, high volume work. But we're not gonna focus on all those qualities in equal volumes. We're gonna do, for example, during our isometric phase, 70% of our work might be with isometrics, but then we might do 2 sets of 10 at RDL to hit volume and retain those qualities, right? We don't want those to detrain. What that's gonna do, it's gonna allow you to make the most progress over the longest period of time without running into plateaus. So that's a rough example of how we would program in terms of variety and how to implement variety with every single exercise that you do. If you found that helpful and you want us to train you to jump higher, go to THPstrength.com and use the code THP for 10% off of your first month. And if you found this video valuable, if you learned something, please like the video because it helps the channel tremendously. And I'll catch you guys next time. See you guys.